What do you believe being healthy means? Is it being physically fit? No physical injuries? Maybe it means having good resistance and immunity to common sicknesses. Well, yes, you're right. But remember, the mind is a very important part of our body too. Our brain controls everything we do. It is responsible for controlling everything in our whole body, our thoughts and emotions. It can even sometimes lessen our pain or create it. So remember that a healthy mind is equal to a healthy body, and that mental health is part of our overall health. It is sometimes hard to fully imagine that mental health is as important as physical health because mental illness is not as obvious as a physical handicap, or its manifestations are not that clear. Mental health impacts are different for every individual, age group, or economic class. Anyone can experience mental illness. Sometimes, some might think that someone is faking it and is only doing things for attention, or that they're just lazy. On the other hand, some might think on the extremes. For example, we might think because a person is being productive in school or work that they could not be experiencing any mental health issues. The opposite of that would be thinking that a person with a mental disorder is supposed to behave a certain way. We could also somehow think that someone with mental illness can just snap out of it by ignoring the issue and continue with their everyday life. While someone could continue with their life even with mental illness, it is very possible that the work they do is not the best of their abilities. Furthermore, while keeping busy can help, it is also okay to take time for oneself and rest. Another response to mental illness is to resort to spirituality or to blame curses. With curses, it is believed that the curse is placed upon a person by someone else or as punishment from a higher being for something they did wrong. In cases like these, the person or family usually seeks help from the traditional healers to get rid of the curse. Going through the traditional route or even the religious route could help some people get through rough times. Faith and spirituality can serve as a strong basis for a sense of hope, purpose, and inner strength. In some cases, it provides comfort for both the person going through mental health issues and their family. However, alongside means of alternative medicine and traditional routes of healing, it is important to seek clinical assessment and treatment when possible. It is important to remember that seeking help for mental health is not a bad thing. Seeking help does not mean that one is weak or that one will be labeled as crazy and will be avoided. Mental health practitioners are there to guide people through working on the issues at hand, and friends, family, and organizations are there for support. Having great social support, whether that be through loved ones or through an organization, is very important in maintaining mental health. Mental illness is a broad term used to describe the various disorders that range from mild to severe instances. While it might be hard to envision mental illness being as serious as physical ailments, according to the Department of Health, 3.6 million Filipinos suffer from one kind of mental, neurological, and substance disorder. Of that 3.6 million, 1,145,871 suffer from depression alone. In addition, suicide is the 27th cause of death in the Philippines, with 2020 having 3,529 deaths, compared to the 2,808 deaths in 2019. But what causes mental illness? The two usual causes of mental illness are biological and environmental. Either one of those or both at the same time can cause mental disorders to manifest. Biological causes could range from the way our brains are wired, hormones that we lack or overproduce, and sometimes even brain growth. There are certain genes that have been linked to disorders like schizophrenia, and studies have shown that abnormal brain growth or underconnectivity in certain brain areas affect autism. Furthermore, disorders can be hereditary, as is the case with Alzheimer's, autism, schizophrenia, depression, and bipolar disorder. However, just because a gene is present does not mean that one will automatically develop symptoms or have the same disorder. An example of a mental disorder caused by biological factors is postpartum depression. During pregnancy, a woman produces more estrogen and progesterone, two hormones important to the female body, than normal. After giving birth, those hormones go back to the normal levels before pregnancy. This sudden change in the body could lead to depression, fatigue, and mood changes. All these could cause mothers to have a hard time bonding with their baby, aside from the other effects of the mood swings or depression. It is not the mother's fault if she is unable to care for her child during this period, as she has no control over the production of hormones in her body. During this time, having people there to help both the parents and child is very important. Environmental causes are exactly how it sounds. The environment a person has lived in, is currently living in, or any circumstance that a person experienced. A current example of environmental factors is the COVID-19 situation. Living in quarantine and the economic issues that have come about due to the pandemic have caused some mental health issues. According to PruLife, 42% of Filipino respondents experienced elevated stress, anxiety, and depression because of the COVID-19 situation. According to Ibon, half of Filipino families struggle to get by on 22,000 pesos or less per month. And because of the lockdown caused by COVID-19, 18.6 million families, or about 81.8 million people, are vulnerable to socio-economic distress. Furthermore, the unemployment rate for Filipinos in August of 2021 was 8.1%, or 3.88 million jobless Filipinos, while the underemployment rate was 14.7%, or 6.48 million Filipinos. Living in poverty can cause mental health issues, as situations such as community violence, being unable to have basic needs, and many others can push someone to develop unhealthy behaviors and mental disorders. During the start of the lockdown caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Philippine National Police has reported 1,945 cases of violence against women and 1,745 cases of violence against children. While the number of reported cases has gone down compared to previous years, it is important to know that the reported number of cases could be underreported, as it would be harder to report the violence due to the lockdown. Children are especially vulnerable to adverse experiences, so witnessing or experiencing violence at home could lead to mental health issues or problematic behavior. Additionally, the Philippines is prone to natural disasters, such as typhoons and earthquakes. Disasters are often unpredicted and come unexpectedly, or no matter how one prepares, the actual event can be more shocking than anticipated. Victims usually enter a state of shock, which could lead to disruption in their everyday functioning, which could then lead to more distress. Grief, hopelessness, and stress could come along with physical effects. Being a survivor of flooding, earthquakes, or landslides can cause temporary and/or long-lasting effects on a person's mental health. For example, with extreme rain and flooding, the next time heavy rain happens, a person could feel anxious about another disaster happening. However, not only do unexpected disasters cause mental health issues, prolonged exposure to stress can cause issues such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, substance abuse, or other problematic behaviors. Examples of prolonged stressful scenarios are abuse and neglect at home, living in militarized communities, or forced migration. Stress is a good thing because it pushes a person to push their limits to better themselves. However, too much stress has the opposite effect that triggers mental health issues. Having learned of the many circumstances that could cause mental illness, it might be worrying. However, fear not, as experiencing big emotions are normal, or even behaving weird can be healthy, even though there are times when we think it is not. So, when does normal shift into abnormal? when our thoughts, emotions, or behaviors no longer healthy. A simple answer would be to say that it is no longer healthy when it interrupts our ability to do work or function in our everyday life, whether that be doing a job or engaging in our social relationships. A specific answer would be it depends on the intensity, frequency, and duration of the symptoms being experienced. For example, when we lose a loved one, grief is a normal emotion to go through. However, if that grief does not seem to go away and the person experiencing the grief sees no improvement, that is when it is no longer normal. Another example with anxiety, this time, would be it is okay to be nervous when socializing with new people or when giving a presentation. What makes that nervousness become abnormal is when they become so nervous it prevents them from any socializing or even being afraid to leave their homes. There are red flags that we do need to watch out for that will need immediate attention. One of these is having suicidal thoughts. Oftentimes, people might think that talking about suicide might just be a call for attention and that they have no intentions of going through with their plan. However, one can never be too careful. Keep a close watch on the person or seek help from a professional. Another red flag includes having delusions. Delusions are beliefs that someone sticks to even with contradictory evidence, or it is impossible for what they believe to be true. For example, a delusion would be believing an actor or actress is in love with them, despite never meeting that actor or actress, or believing that they have superpowers, or that they are being spied on, followed, or poisoned. Having hallucinations is also a red flag. Seeing or hearing things that are not there is a warning to seek help. It is okay to feel sad, feel really happy and elated, feel nervous, and even to talk to yourself if the situation calls for these reactions. Remember that mental illness is not black and white. For most of the disorders, they range from mild to severe depending on the symptoms one experiences. Because of misconceptions, there is a stigma around mental illness. The misconception around mental illness makes it hard for individuals to seek help, preventing them from getting appropriate treatment. The stigma can come from individuals themselves, those around them, or society itself. Shame, the thought of being avoided, or being labeled as crazy can be powerful against getting help. To overcome the stigma around mental illness, it is important to understand mental health. Be open to options such as support groups or treatment itself. Stigma is powerful, but you have the power to overcome it and to speak out against it, whether it be to friends and family, to coworkers, or to the public. By educating people about mental health and mental illness, people can better appreciate what mental health is all about and can take steps to change their attitudes towards mental illness. Did you know that the Philippines does have a Mental Health Act? It was enacted in 2017 and aims to ensure that rights to mental health are taken care of. The Act states that mental health is important and part of our rights as humans. The Act hopes to strengthen leadership and governance in mental health, protect rights of those with mental health needs, create a national mental healthcare system that could be integrated into the basic healthcare services, and strengthen information systems to create strategies for the promotion of mental health. The Philippine Mental Health Act puts emphasis on the rights of people who require mental health services by providing high-quality, affordable, and culturally appropriate care, so that people with mental health issues can continue living their lives, free from stigmatization and discrimination. Unfortunately, while the mental health law is a step in the right direction for Filipinos, the Act itself still has a few issues, like implementation, and not many are aware of the law itself. It might be scary to think of needing to go to a professional for help, but they're the ones who have the skills to provide help. The cost of getting help might also be intimidating. However, because of the Mental Health Act, every LGU and academic institution is supposed to create mental health programs, guided by the Philippine Council for Mental Health. Also, the national government is set to fund and assist the establishment of community-based mental health care facilities. Thus, we really need to push for the implementation of the law to make mental health care more accessible and affordable for everyone. Mental health practitioners are not the only ones who can help you. Having a great support system is often helpful for going through hard times or helping to work through mental illness. Mental health practitioners can certainly help guide you in directions to feel better and even prescribe medication if needed. But there are a few things anyone can do to achieve better mental health, or what you can do for a person with mental illness. Being a shoulder to cry on, or willing to listen, is something everyone can do for anyone. While listening to friends or family, we do not always have to give advice, especially if we cannot think of anything to say at the moment. Sympathy can go a long way when speaking with others who are going through mental health issues. Knowing that someone is there for you and is willing to help and listen can be a huge relief. Also, remember not to judge when someone comes to us with their problems. What might seem trivial to you could mean something huge to someone else. Judging or calling other people names because of their mental illness often brings more issues than helps alleviate them. Another thing that can be done is psychological first aid, or PFA. PFA is used as an initial disaster response intervention to promote safety, stabilize survivors, and connect individuals to help and resources. It is tailored specifically for disaster response, which anyone who wishes to help out can be a part of. Relaxation is the opposite of stress. Relaxation techniques and breathing exercises are also something you can do on your own to calm down. These can even be used in minor circumstances like traffic jams, or to more serious stuff like grieving. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a type of technique that mental health practitioners use. While it does sound complicated, its basis is that our thoughts and emotions affect our actions and vice versa. When experiencing extreme emotions, CBT is usually used to try to get us back to normal. Some things that might be part of CBT is to keep to-do lists to keep as a motivator. Journaling, playing out scenarios in your head to prepare for situations, and doing what you love, even if you have to force yourself. Often, it might sound like common sense to just do what we enjoy, think positively, or to treat yourself, but those are easier said than done. The most important thing is to be kind to yourself. It is easy to start thinking negatively of oneself, but remember that everyone has their bad days. You can get through yours. Everyone should be compassionate to others and avoid judging. At the end of the day, we are all humans who go through stressful situations or have no control over some of our circumstances. What we can all do is be there for those who need us and to educate ourselves and others about mental health. Take breaks and time for yourself, and keep in mind that you can always reach out to someone for help. Remember that prevention is better than cure, and that mental health is part of overall health.